Hello everybody, it's Jamie from Old Shipping Lines and welcome back again to the second episode of Chapters of War. And today we're gonna talk about the HMS Campbeltown and the famous Saint-Nazaire Raid. So I'm looking forward to this video, and I hope you will too. So with that out of the way, guys, let's begin. So let's first begin with her building and her early life. Firstly known as the USS Buchanan, the USS Buchanan was a Wickle-class destroyer, and their design was this. The requirements of the new design were high speed and mass production. The development of submarine warfare during World War I created a requirement for destroyers in numbers that had not been completed before the war. A top speed of 35 knots was needed for operation with the Lexington battlecruisers and Omaha cruisers. The final design had a flush deck and 4 smoke stacks. It was a fairly straightforward evolution of the preceding Cadwell class. General dissatisfaction with the earlier 1,000-ton designs, Cassin and Tucker classes, led to the fuller hull form of the flush deck type. A greater beam and the flush deck provided greater hull strength. In addition, the Wickle class had 26,000 horsepower, 6,000 horsepower more than a Cadwell class, providing an extra 5 knots. The machinery agreement of some of the Cadwells was used geared steam turbines on 2 shafts. The extra power required an extra 100 tons of engine and reduction gears. The design included an even keel and nearly horizontal propeller shafts to minimize weight. As construction was undertaken by 10 different builders, there was a considerable variation in the type of boilers and turbines installed to meet a guaranteed speed requirement. However, there were in essence 2 basic designs. One for the ships built by Bethlehem Steel Yards, including Union Iron Works, and another used by the remaining shipyards, which was prepared by Both Iron Works. The Wickle class proved to be short-ranged, and its bridge and gun positions were very wet. The fleet found that the tempered stern, which made for a nice depth charge development feature, dug into the water and increased the turning radius, thus hampering anti-submarine work. The Gillespie class added 100 tons of fuel tankage to improve operational range, but the issue of range was solved only with the development of underway replenishment in World War II. Now, at the end, the USS Buchanan, ordered from the Bath Iron Works, Bath in Maine, and was laid down on 29 June 1918. She was launched on 2 January 1919 and commissioned into the Navy on 20 January. She had a typical interwar career and was placed into the reserve in 1939. She then became one of 50 destroyers transferred to the Royal Navy in 1940, after the finalization of the Destroyers for Bases Agreement. She was transferred on 3 September 1940 and commissioned on 9 September at Halifax, Canada. Having been formally commissioned, she took passage from Halifax to Plymouth, traveling via the St. John's, Newfoundland. She arrived at Dunmore Dockyard on 29 September and was taken in hand for modifications to fit her for service with the Royal Navy. The refits lasted throughout October, and on completion after the final harbour trials on 1 November, she was nominated to join the 17th Flotilla operating in the western approaches. The next day, while carrying out sea trials, she collided with the SS Rusoy and sustained damage, but continued and arrived safely at Liverpool, where she underwent repairs from 2 to 24 November. She then joined the flotilla. On 29 November, she ran down and sank the British coaster Fitdown in the Mersey estuary. She began deploying with the flotilla in early December, but on 3 December she collided with the SS Cummins and had to put into port for repairs again. The repairs lasted until late March and involved the shortening of the fourth funnel. On completion of the work on 28 March, Campbeltown was transferred on loan to the Royal Netherlands Navy as HMS Campbeltown, where she joined the 7th Escort Group and deployed with them in April-May. The Dutch proposed to rename her Middelburg, but this was not agreed, as it would have been contrary to the naming agreed with the US Navy. She underwent further repairs throughout June and resumed convoy defense with the group in July-August. She was then nominated to be returned to the Royal Navy in September, but remained with the 7th Escort Group. She spent September working up with her Royal Navy crew and rejoined the group in October, where she convoyed convoys between Britain and West Africa. On 15 September, she picked up the survivors of the Norwegian motor tanker Vinja, which had been damaged in an enemy air attack. She carried out escort duties in December, before taking passage to Denver Port to undergo repairs. And now we move on to the second part of this story, and that is the famous Saint-Nazaire Raid. Campbeltown began the Denver Port repairs in January. During this time, she was selected for a special operation and was withdrawn from regular service for modifications. She was to be used in Operation Chariot, a planned assault operation on the docks at Saint-Nazaire. In 1942, the German battleship Tirpitz, anchored at Trondheim in Norway, was considered to present a great threat to the Atlantic convoys. Should Tirpitz enter the Atlantic, the Saint-Nazaire dry dock at Saint-Nazaire, which had originally been built for the liner SS Normandy, was a vital target. It was the only German-held dry dock on the European coast of the Atlantic that was large enough to service the battleship. If this dry dock could be put out of action, any offensive sortie by Tirpitz into the Atlantic would be much dangerous for the Kriegsmarine to carry out, making it less likely that they would risk deploying her. Operation Chariot was a plan to ram an explosive-laden warship into the dock gates. Accompanying her would be a number of small boats carrying British commandos, who would destroy the dock's pumping and widening machinery and other infrastructure. The troops would then be evacuated by the small boats before the explosive in the ship detonated. A particular difficulty was that the dock was located several miles up the estuary of the Loire River. As a destroyer, Campbeltown was considered to be expendable and was selected to be the ram ship. She spent February undergoing modifications. These included removing her third and fourth funnels and having the remaining two funnels ranked to simulate the structure and appearance of a German Raubvogel class torpedo boat. A 12-pounder gun was installed forward and 820 mm Oinkler anti-aircraft cannon were mounted on the upper deck. Some extra armor was provided to protect the bridge superstructure, and unnecessary stores and equipment were removed to lighten the destroyer. An explosive charge consisting of 24 24 Mark V depth charges containing a total of 4.5 short tons of FMO high explosives was fitted into the steel tanks, installed just behind the steel pillar that supported her most forward gun mount. These charges were to be detonated by multiple 8-hour time pencils connected together by cortex, set before steaming out and cemented to prevent any interference with the detonation. Campbeltown steamed from Denwon Port to Falmouth, Cornwall on 25 March to join the other ships that would take part in the operation. The crew, which would be evacuated with the commandos, was reduced to 75 men, under the command of Lieutenant Commander Stephen Sam Beatty. A flotilla of 21 vessels, Campbeltown, 16 Fairmail B motor launches, 1 motor torpedo boat and a Fairmail C motor gunboat acting as the troops' headquarters, left Falmouth on 26 March 1942, escorted for the most of the crossing to France by 2 Hunt-class escort destroyers. Apart from a brief clash with a German submarine U-593, whose captain misreported the task force course and position, the ships reached France unmolested. 1 motor launched suffered mechanical problems and had to return to England. The primary air raid carried out through heavy cloud by 35 Armstrong Whitworth Whitleys and 25 Vickers Wellingtons was much smaller than originally planned and was ineffective, merely alerting the defenders of something unusual happening. Nevertheless, by flashing genuine German reconnaissance signals, the force, with Campbeltown flying the flag of the Kriegsmarine, approached to within less than 1.6 kilometers of the harbor before being fired upon. Campbeltown, as the largest target, drew most of the fire. During the final approach, the crew of the Campbeltown lowered the emblem of the Kriegsmarine and hoisted the fighting ensign of the Royal Navy. At 1:34 on 28 March, 4 minutes later than planned, Campbeltown rammed the dock gate. The commandos and the ship's crew came ashore under heavy German fire and set about demolishing the dock machinery. 169 of the raiders were killed. 64 commandos and 105 sailors out of the 611 men in the attacking force were killed. Of the survivors, 250 were captured and 222 were evacuated by the surviving small craft. A further 5 evaded capture and travelled overland through France to Spain and then to Gibraltar, a British territory. The charges in Campbeltown exploded at noon, an hour and a half later than the British had expected. Although the ship had been searched by the Germans, the explosives had not been detected. The explosion killed around 250 German soldiers and French civilians and demolished both the front half of the destroyer and 160 short tons of the dry dock, within the rush of water into the dry dock, washing the remains of the ship into it. The Saint-Nazaire dry dock was rendered unusable for the rest of the war and was not repaired until 1947. And that is the end of a Chapters of War video. I hope you liked it. I really do. I liked making this video, and of course it's amazing to see the bravery of the crew and men in this operation. maybe them thinking that they would never come back, but still they went on this dangerous operation. So that is extremely brave. So guys, if you have friends who like ocean liners or ships, please show them my channel. We are trying to reach 300 subs, and I know we can do it together. And of course, thank you for all the new subscribers who have subscribed to my channel. It really means a lot. And with that out of the way, guys, I wish you a good day or night wherever you are, and we will see each other on the next video. Goodbye.